Hey everybody, it's YusofPlays. If you're watching this, you probably know me personally. Good to see you again. Hopping on here to share some things I've been thinking about. And the first is, if you have nothing to play, you're the problem. Let me repeat that. If you have nothing to play, you are the problem. Now, why have I been thinking about this? I think it's because I'm constantly mainlining people's opinions on gaming forums. I replaced the bad habits of social media with new bad habits of going on gaming forums, those that shall not be named, and also just hearing what people have to say on YouTube. So I think that's my remaining social media addiction is YouTube. I love YouTube, particularly amateur videos by vloggers such as yours truly. But I get the sense that people who play games feel that there's no innovation, that they have nothing new to play, that there's nothing interesting coming out, and that everything is the same. And to that, I only have to say, you're the problem. Now, when I say you're the problem, I don't mean to cast aspersions on anyone and tell them that they're the reason that there's nothing to play. In fact, I would say the opposite. My view is that if you feel that you have nothing to play and that nothing is interesting is coming out, you don't have a broad enough taste or you don't know enough. It's simply a choice to be ignorant, because I'm taking it the other direction, right? The general milieu, the people have to say there's nothing to play, not enough interesting games. I'm totally lost. It's just games as a service junk. No, actually, there are too many games. There are simply too many games to play, and the release cadence is broken. It's not too much, it's broken. We've overcorrected. The amount of investment that went into the gaming industry during COVID, even though it was at its peak, I don't know, it must have continued up into this next 5 years, because simply put, there is no way that a single human, even a dedicated video game reviewer, could play all the great games that there are to play in any given year, let alone across the span of the past 5 years or 6 years since excuse me, the current generation of consoles came out, the Switch/Switch 2, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. There's simply no way. So why do I feel this way? How do I know this to be not even an opinion, but simply a fact? Well, my PlayStation 5 library alone, just my PlayStation 5 library, not my Switch library, not the few games I collect for Xbox, has over 90 games in it and many of which, if you watch this channel, you'll know, many of which I have not played. Now, many of those are PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 games that have been ported over to PlayStation 5, such as Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, Last of Us 2, Last of Us Part 1, that's technically a remake of a PlayStation 3 game. I could go on. A lot of those are cross-generation games. God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, Spider-Man Miles Morales, a couple others that I'm not remembering right now, but they're cross-generation games. Horizon Forbidden West, I hate those games, but I did pick it up to give it a chance. A lot of those games came out on PlayStation 4 and then were upgraded to PlayStation 5, or released simultaneously, I should say, at the beginning of the generation and in the next 3 or so years. And it goes for third parties as well. You can play Resident Evil 2, 3, 4 Remake, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8 on PlayStation 4. Now, the experience is subpar. The experience is, for certain people, they'll say it's fine. For me, I would say, no, I really don't want to play the game at half the frame rate with a horrible resolution and other, graphical drawbacks. There's a lot of cross-gen games. There's a lot of ports, upgraded ports, and yeah, there's a lot of games that are sequels and things like that. Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei just this year. Sony's big first-party games are sequels to games that they released in the first generation that people thought were interesting and innovative or new. That being said, there's simply no way for you to tell me that the over 90 games that I have in my collection, spanning first, third party, second party, all genres, action, adventures, tactics, games, RPGs, platformers, you name it, plus the over 100 games, just physicals, over 100 games that I have on my wish list, my spreadsheet wish list for PlayStation 5 alone. PlayStation 5 alone. I'm talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'm looking at it right now. I'm talking about, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2. I'm talking about, you name it. We've got Guilty Gear Strive, No More Heroes 3, Crusader Kings 3, Octopath Traveler 2, Tachia, Tekken 8. That was $20 on sale today. I didn't pull the trigger. Rain World on PS5. I have that on Switch. Midnight Walk, Lego Horizon Adventures. I don't even really want that. I mean, I could just go on, and that's games that came out in past years, right? In 2026, we're having Soros, Wolverine, Hades 2 will probably come to PS5, Pragmata, Neo 3, Marvel Tokon, Grand Theft Auto 6. I literally don't have time to play any of these games. I will buy them, but I won't have the time to play them. This is literally my hobby, how do you have the time? It just doesn't make sense to complain when I just named 17 different genres and 45 different games. There are simply too many people making games, and too many of them are way too talented. If you don't have something to play, you are the problem. That's not to mention the enormous backlog of PlayStation 4 games. I missed the PlayStation 4 generation. All I had was a Switch. I missed that entire generation. So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is new to me. Death Stranding 1 is new to me. The Last of Us Part 2, I haven't even played it. It's up next after I beat the game I'm currently playing. So I missed that. If you didn't miss that, I don't believe you if you say you've played everything that you want, because there's so many, and they're still releasing PlayStation 4 games. That's not to mention all that previous generation. That's not to mention the endless release cadence of classic remasters. Marvel Capcom Fighting Collection 2 came out. I want that. It has Power Stone 1 and 2 remastered. System Shock 2 just had a remaster. I ordered that on limited run. There's too many great games to get through. They could stop releasing games tomorrow, and I still wouldn't get through everything I want to play. I still probably wouldn't get through every game I own now. They could stop both releasing games tomorrow, and I would stop buying games. And I still would never be able to play all these. It's just too much. So, and I think we're at a critical mass, and like I said, 100 games on my wish list, 90 games in my collection, 75 more games on top in that wish list that haven't either released, or there are physicals that there's no physical version, so I'm not going to purchase it. Or many years later, if they really don't release a physical, I'll purchase it digitally. Sword of the Sea is an example. Like, I'm waiting for the physical of that game because it just looks so good, and I really enjoy Abzu and of course Journey. I have good memories with those. Shout out to my boy Stuart and his family. Anyways, so simultaneously you have just way too many games, though people believe that there's nothing to play, and then you have a simultaneous belief that not only is there nothing to play, but the things that there are to play are entirely too expensive. I'm going to disagree there too. Now, I do understand that the global economy is disastrous. I mean, gaming is a expensive hobby relative to, for example, going to movie theaters or reading books. That certainly makes sense, and I agree. But why are we blaming Hideo Kojima but not Donald Trump? Why are we blaming Shigeru Miyamoto but not the IMF? Really, the issue is that wages haven't risen and quality of life hasn't risen to keep up with the rising cost of making games, right? So we kept at that $60 price for most major studios games released in the past 10 to 15 years. And then we bumped it up by $10 or $20 suddenly. So it is a bit of a sticker shock, and I understand, but the reason that we want to do that is to pay developers more. Now, I understand the counter argument, and I completely agree with it. There are more ways to nickel and dime you than ever. I don't want to buy those games. There are more ways to nickel and dime you than ever. Games are sold piecemeal. For example, Donkey Kong Bonanza, I spent $70 on it. It's a fantastic game. I'm playing it right now. Then, as soon as I start playing it, they announce a DLC that should have been part of the original game. It's simply a level in a roguelite mode. It's frustrating, certainly, but I think the original game has plenty for me to chomp on, to dive in. And games are not only, there's not only more games than ever, these games are huge. I mean, the simple size of games, if you want to see and do everything in them, is just too big to wrap your arms around. Like, I can't even imagine 100%ing a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. 100%ing Donkey Kong Bonanza is probably going to take me like 40 hours. So whether you want to do a one-to-one with film, like, oh, I paid $15 to go see a movie and a matinee, and it was 2.5 hours. Okay, well then multiply that till you get 40, and it's going to exceed the cost of how much you paid for the game. So the value's never been higher, and I think that's unfortunate. I don't think that we should equate time spent in a game with value. I would pay $60 happily for a once-in-a-lifetime experience that took 3 hours versus a 100-hour game that bored me to death after hour 3. That started around the time of Skyrim. People were like, this game offers me 300 hours of fun, and like it costs the same as your 10-hour game. So that is perverse and incorrect. But what I mean to simply say is that there are more games than ever, more of them are good than ever, more of them provide enormous value than ever, and you can get, not only do they provide value, and games have gotten more, there's slight increase in expensiveness, but also they go on deeper discount more quickly than ever. Like Death Stranding 2 released in late July. I just saw it today for $50. For like 40, 48, $50 at Best Buy. Not on eBay or something like that, at Best Buy. I would love to pull the trigger on that if I didn't think there would be a director's cut in a year, when I actually have time to play it. Would love to pull the trigger on that. So 4 months after release, if you can't wait and just attack your backlog, I really don't know what to tell you. We live in different worlds. You live in La La Land and I live in the United States and on Earth, because there's simply too much to play. That's not to mention backwards compatible devices like Xbox that can play 360 and Xbox, original Xbox games. That's not to mention the classics collections that are part of the PlayStation Plus catalog and Nintendo Switch Online catalog. Go play Super Metroid. Have you played Super Metroid? Have you played Super Mario World? Have you played original Legend of Zelda? Have you played Ocarina of Time? Have you played Pilot Wings? They're available. Go check it. Emulate them. I mean, I'm not saying do that, but you could. It's free. So I'm tired of the complaining, and this is coming from the world's #1 complainer. I mean, I'm well known for complaining, but one thing that I don't think anybody complain about is that there's nothing to play. If you can't find anything to play, you're the problem. Your taste is so like niche, like I can't even imagine. So there are also more options than ever to play those games. Yes, you have the subscription services like PlayStation Plus, NSO, which to be fair is only classic games, or from previous generations I say, and Xbox Game Pass, which I don't recommend subscribing to. It's bad for the industry. I've made a whole video on that. We'll get into it. But people have been complaining that Xbox raised the prices 50% on Game Pass Ultimate, made the lower tier not have day one access to the new Call of Duty games and have to wait a year for certain first-party releases. And yeah, the deal just gets worse and worse. That's sort of the model. It's bring people in at an unbelievably low price and a shocking value. You got 400 Xbox games in day one at $1 a month. $20 a month even, and then, you know, once you crowd out the competition, jack up the price and bleed your users dry and offer less games, offer less services, bonuses, DLC, discounts, things of that nature, which they're doing. They just missed the step where they crowd out the competition because the competition is too strong and too good. And this is, let me connect this back to my first point. People say I don't have enough to play, but Circana, the analytics firm, which includes great analytics on the video game business and industry, Matt Piscatella being the, I guess, chief analyst on that front, they just released data saying that the average person buys 2 games a year. 2. And yeah, it's that person you imagine. They buy Call of Duty and Madden, or they buy NBA 2K and Ghost of Yotei, or you know, the Uncharted or whatever. That's it. That's all they buy, and they buy that every year, and they play with their friends, and they have a great time. And then maybe occasionally they play, you know, some free-to-play game like Fortnite, or, you know, fuck if I know what people are playing, what children are playing these days. Minecraft. I think you gotta buy Minecraft. But anyways, so that's the average person, and then what's considered the average gamer, if I'm not reading this this reporting correctly, but that person buys 4 games a year. 4. That's nothing. Not when you compare it to a sicko like me. So we can't extrapolate and, you know, and say there's nothing to play, it's too expensive, so on and so forth. Like, most people aren't engaging with the medium in the way that I am or that you are. Just like most people don't really go to the theater that often. They just put something on Netflix. They go out once a month. I don't know what people do, you know, what normal people do, but there's just such a wide variety of people, it's hard to know. Maybe they're investing in other hobbies like knitting or skiing or skateboarding, or, you know, something productive and in the fresh air, not sitting in your basement playing video games like me. I don't have a basement. But anyways, so, you know, start blaming Donald Trump, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the 2 wings of the fascist American government, instead of blaming Hideo Kojima and Ken Levine. You know, I'm just thinking of game directors, but let's talk about some games I picked up. That's really all I have to say. I think I could talk about those issues for longer, but it's not worth it. Only a few pickups since the last video a month ago, and only 3 of them here in front of me. But I will say there will be a future video coming because I picked up 8, count them, 8 PlayStation 3 games recently that I added to my collection. That's back in Dallas, and you know, some good stuff. I think I own almost everything I really want on PS3, to be honest. So what's remaining on my list to collect is stuff that I'm not jonesed about. I'm not, you know, I'm not truly like, oh, I would love to play this like tomorrow. I think I picked up finally the last few things that I even have most of an interest in. But still, it would be nice, I think, to collect for PS3, and I'm trying to focus on it because it's affordable, and I'm actually being priced out of a lot of the things that I really want. So after I graduated law school, I told myself I'm gonna get myself a copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PS1 mint, and around then it was probably like 120 bucks. This was years ago, and then I never did. I collected many other games since then, but I never got it. And then when I passed my bar exam, I was like, this is what I'm gonna get myself as a gift to myself, a copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night on PS1 mint, black label. And then I never did. So I've been thinking about it, and it's about to be my birthday, and I'm about to turn old as hell. And I thought to myself, I would like that copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night because it's a game I've always wanted to play, and I have a nostalgic connection with it. Because many years ago, when I first started getting really back into gaming and learning about like CRTs and stuff, one example that a CRT account used was Symphony of the Night to show the difference between it on a flat screen LCD panel and a CRT. And you could see Dracula's eyes on a CRT blended in and sort of had its intended effect where they were like diffused like dark red. And on an LCD panel, they were just flat, like 1 pixel. So I thought that was really interesting, and I've wanted it since then. I have it on PS4, I have the Requiem collection or whatever, but it's apparently not a perfect port. And I think I have it in a PSP version, though that also is not a very good port. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, it's like $170 now. I really should have bought it back in the day. PS1 games are all absurd, like $200, $150. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You know, these games need to be re-released on modern consoles. We still have a big gap of classic Square Enix, Konami, and Capcom games that have not been re-released. It feels like there's a re-release or a remaster every day, but there's tons of stuff that is not available on modern consoles, and it's unfortunate. But one thing that is available, and that I picked up recently at full price, because it's not going to drop in price, is 2 of my favorite games ever, and ones I have very good memories with my friend Demir, and that's Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 HD remasters. Apparently enhanced for Switch 2 in 4K, so I'm looking forward to playing these at some point, hopefully after The Last of Us Part 2. I have so many good memories. I was telling our producer about them. In Mario Galaxy 1, I pre-ordered in 2007 when it was coming out, and I remember from GameStop, my local GameStop still near my house, still open, they gave you a commemorative coin for having pre-ordered it, which I still have. And you also, I think, either called a number or when it was ready to pick up, they called you, but it was a voicemail from Mario. Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, called and said, you know, whoa, your pre-order's ready. That was bad, but, you know, it was just delightful to be a young man and have Mario call you. I wish Mario would call me to give me words of encouragement these days. And then Mario Galaxy 2, I liked even more when it came out. I picked that up on release day as well, I believe I pre-ordered. That's when I used to pre-order games instead of knowing to wait. But Mario Galaxy 2, also just absolutely excellent. I would say an improvement over Mario Galaxy 1 in pretty much every way, including Yoshi. And Demir and I, I think we spent multiple weeks trying to beat the very last secret level that you get when you collect every star. I forget what it's called. There's something, you know, super crazy galaxy, but we spent forever, like literally multiple hangout sessions trying to beat it because it was such a brutal challenge. I'd be interested to see if I could do that now, if I could beat it now very easily, because the same thing happened when I was a kid and I had Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and I could not get past like a certain part near the end. I could not do it. I tried over and over again. I went back many years later. I beat it easily, handily. Same thing with Golden Sun. When I was a kid, I was playing Golden Sun. I could not beat the last boss. Went back many years later, beat the last boss like it was nothing. Like I was like, how did I not beat that? So Mario Galaxy 2, I'm coming for you. I'm excited to replay 1 because I don't have as strong of a remembrance of the levels and things like that, but I'm looking forward to that. Also on the PlayStation, I picked up the Yakuza Remastered Collection. When I say there are too many games, I think one of the problems is that 60% of the games released are Yakuza games. Like they have a new one every year and the people who love them seem to just go crazy for them. There's simply too many of these. But the Yakuza Remastered Collection has 3, 4, and 5. So, you know, you can pretty much get all of them on PlayStation 4 from 0 to 6, and they just announced that they're remaking 3. I probably will pick up the mainline ones on PS5. They're releasing native versions of 0 Director's Cut, Kiwami 1, and Kiwami 2, which are remakes of the original 2 Yakuzas. Expanded to be way too big. Too much content. Let's shrink the games down. I want shorter games. I believe that to be true. When people say I want shorter games that cost more money and are like people are paid more, something, whatever the saying is, and has a picture of like Sonic relaxing. I'm actually one of the only people who agrees with that statement. Shorter games with worse graphics, but that's not actually what people want. Even no matter how much they post it, like the market shows that people want longer games with crazier graphics, where people, I don't know if they necessarily want people are paid less, but you know, what are the best selling games? GTA 6, Red Dead Redemption 2, Last of Us 2, Uncharted 4. Like, people want technology pushed 300-hour RPGs. You know, what the market responds to, the CEO of Take-Two, I forget his name right now, but he's like, I don't play video games, which I found funny, and he's doing a great job at his job, sincerely. But he's like, the bar for what people want, it's like, no, it's no longer okay to have a good game. Like, if you release a good game, it's DOA. And he's right. The same people who like want shorter games with worse graphics, for example, like Donkey, love his videos, but Take-Two released Mafia: The Old Country, which is a AA game, only, you know, 10-15 hours long. It doesn't have the same cloth physics and level of realism as something like Red Dead Redemption 2 from the same publisher, and he's making fun of it. Now, he makes fun of every game, but it's just like, this was an opportunity to highlight that this is what people supposedly want, and here it is, but they don't do that. And everybody else said the same, like, oh, well, you know, what's with the lack of fidelity here? It's like, so you don't want it. You want every game to be GTA 6. Just be honest with yourself. Anyways, too many Yakuza games and they're too long. And then I got last game. I wanted this to be a short one, but we're running into. I just got this today. Blue Dragon, an RPG that Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy, made after he left Square Enix. Microsoft, in a bid to get the Japanese audience with the Xbox 360, basically gave him a blank check to make multiple RPGs, including Lost Odyssey, which I already own and is supposed to be absolutely fantastic. But Blue Dragon, an RPG that he directed with music by Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu, and Dragon Quest, and of course Dragon Ball Z illustrator Akira Toriyama. Now, I don't believe this is very well received upon release, but now with Xbox Series X compatibility, it not only has upscaled and upper-res graphics, but also faster loading times. That's a really big issue, I think, with going back to old RPGs, is that we've been, over the years, gotten more used to quick loading, real-time action stuff, and then you just go back and you're like, okay, well, it's going to do a big animation before we get into a battle, and I got to wait my turn to fight, you know. We live in an instant delivery society, and we want to go back to things and wonder why we don't like them. It's because our attention spans have been altered, I believe. At least in part, that's the reason. And, you know, I just love that this comes on 3 discs. Still smells like Boo Gone from me cleaning it. But, Blue Dragon. Looking forward to actually popping that one in at some point. So those are the 3 pickups. I picked up about 8 other games on PS3, so I'm gonna do a video, I think, about PS3 and my PS3 collection, and talk about some PS3 memories, but we'll see if I have time for that. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Comment below, like, subscribe. You're the problem.